Question number 6 of the PhilNITS FE afternoon portion of the exam. In this question, we are being asked for step 3, which is to copy each data in the input sequence to the output sequence. What would be the answers for the blank in our pseudocode down below? And we can see that we got two blanks, D and E, and we have to find out which answer would be the best for the blanks. Here we have also the description saying that we have to move data, the input array to the output array. Okay, so we got to find what is the input and what are supposedly the output arrays. Okay, actually we got two input arrays too. So two input arrays and two output arrays. Now for the answer group, I put here some X marks sort of to eliminate the answers that I thought were obviously not the answers, but actually when I was answering this question, I was able to choose this one, letter B, immediately. But for letter E, the answer group for E, I couldn't quite understand how to solve this immediately, so I had to eliminate some of the answers from um, the other answer group just to see if I'm getting it right. Because again, we see that the sample code, the pseudocode here, shows that they're supposed to be connected to each other, and so I had to review again the answers. But eventually, I did end up choosing this one, letter B, and also this one, which is the same actually for answer group for E. Okay, the same answer. And we'll find out that I still don't know what the purpose of this one would be, other than if you choose the other choices for this group, they all seem to be problematic in terms of they're gonna cause more trouble to the values, and it seemed like this one was the least troublesome, or the least that would cause any of those changes in the values that we won't really need or won't be really necessary. Okay, so how did I arrive with this one as the answer for both D and E? The technique that I used was to simply find a pattern, and to do that we have to put the input arrays and the output arrays in this way, and of course remember the index is also an array that we have to take note of, and then we simply plug in the values that are in the choices to see which ones would fit. And I think that just quickly, for example, choosing score bracket I bracket, because one of the choices says that what about if it's only this part? We'll find that, for example, if remember, if we are inside the loop and the loop is saying that we go through 0 to 9, because by the 10th we have to leave the loop already. So once we're inside this loop, what we need to do, if we're choosing as the value of n score bracket I bracket, would be, because we're iterating from 0 up to the 9th and we start at 0, score bracket 0 bracket would be 7, right? And so if we're assigning 7 to n, then this part here, where you got the n here, would have 7 as the value, but the score is supposed to be using the I as the input. So we get 7 here and 0 for this one. And if we see if that actually makes sense in the output, if our score, for example, is saying that it's 7, the value here, then the sorted score, the 7th, should be 7 as the score too, but we find that it's not. It's not 7 at all here, right? So that pretty much tells us that score bracket I bracket is incorrect. Now, the other thing that we can then do is, well, seems like index bracket, score bracket, I bracket, bracket is the correct answer. And we gotta, of course, verify if it's indeed correct or not. And the way to do that is, well, to put them in this way. You got the arrays and the inputs, the outputs here, and the index here. And for example, if we assign n to the value of index bracket, score bracket, I bracket, bracket, then we simply see what's the value of n after putting in this part in the equation. Now, if we're starting again with 0, score score 0, where 0 is the index, would give us 7. And then for the this part here, we have to put in 7 as the input, and so we get 3. Now, if we get 3 here as our n, and 0 for the I, what are we going to find out? We'll see that if the sorted score is using as input 3, this one, then the student number and the score should be equal to the score where the input is 0. And we find that indeed it's 11.7 and this one is 11.7 as well. Okay, so if we see that it's correct for the first one, we try out the next one, which is 1, right? So the next value for the index is 1, which is I. And we see that the score would be 8. Eighth, well, it's not 8th, it's 8. And then we put here the 8 for the index, and the value gives us 5. Now, once we've gotten that part, n is equal to 5, then again we have here the sorted score where the input is 5. Then we look at 5 here among the output arrays. And then if the score here is using 2, or in this case using 1 because we start at 0, then they should be equal in terms of the value for sorted score and student number. So in this case, if it's 8, the score is 8, then this should be A2, and the student number is 12, then this should be 12 too. And so we see that we can connect those two together, and that's why we can find that it's the correct answer that way. Of course, we can try out the rest of the numbers too and see what's gonna happen, but I think I've done that a while ago too, and I think this is really the correct answer already. Now, for the last part, which is letter E, like I said a while ago, I had to go back to the choices to see if I'm getting something wrong, because we see that they are related to each other based on the program. We got a D here and the E here, and it seems like having the same answer for letter E as with letter D causes us to get the output arrays that we are going for. Okay, so I think that should pretty much explain what's the cause of the answer for of our choosing this answer for these two blanks.